Just have a good look at these pictures, guys, because they shed the light on one of the most important aspects of Arne Slot's management style. Done? Alright, keep them in your mind because we'll bring them back later on as we explain what exactly happened in our game against RB Leipzig yesterday. So guys, another Champions League night, another win for Arne Slot's Liverpool as we sit top of the competition's new league format with 9 points out of a possible 9. After beating both AC Milan and Bologna, this time it was RB Leipzig's turn to fall victim to the Reds at their home ground. The best part about it looked like Arne Slot is addressing an issue that we've been highlighting this season so far while maintaining the flexible principles of his style. So guys, in case you missed yesterday's game for whatever reason, or if you need a deep dive into what happened tactically during the match, this video is for you. So hit that like and subscribe button and let's jump straight into it. So we probably get used to Arne Slot's squad rotation approach so far this season, didn't we? He doesn't like to make big changes and would rather maintain the same starting lineup while making early substitutions to get his players the needed rest. And that's what happened with yesterday's first team, as the Dutchman only made 3 changes compared to the Chelsea starting 11. Kelleher remained between the posts with Alisson sidelined due to injury. Meanwhile, Kostas Tsimikas returned to the left-back position, while Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate and Trent Alexander-Arnold all kept their places. Ryan Gravenberch unsurprisingly started as the number 6, with Dominik Szoboszlai and the returning Alexis McAllister as the 2 8s. The front line also saw another change with Cody Gakpo, Mo Salah and Darwin Núñez all starting. So we said earlier that it looked like Arne Slot is addressing one issue that the team has been having. See, in the last few games, mainly against Wolves, Bologna and Chelsea, Liverpool defended the pressed opponents with the same 4-2-4 shape in almost all of the games. The front 4 players or the first line of the pressing was passive, which gave opponents time on the ball. Meanwhile, the midfielders and back line were also not active as they needed to be and were reacting to what was happening on the pitch. This allowed the opposition side the opportunity to play through our lines and progress the ball, making us look like we were vulnerable to quick plays, although we had still had the best defensive record as we're not conceding big chances and too many shots on target. However, this pressing shape and approach looked completely different yesterday, even from the first minutes of the game. First, the Reds looked more aggressive without the ball compared to previous matches. Szoboszlai and Darwin Núñez took turns in leading the first line of the press, but what was more noticeable was how Tsimikas and Trent backed the pressing in wide areas. Now, alongside the more noticed intensity, it was the change of shape that caught our eye. The 4-2-4 was no more, and in this game we saw a 4-1-4-1 shape from Arne Slot, with Darwin Núñez acting as the front man and putting the majority of the pressing work. What makes this approach even braver is how one of the fullbacks pushed even higher than Gravenberch when the ball was on his side, not to mention how both Konate and Van Dijk committed to their man and followed them to their own half. That first 45 minutes was arguably the most active we saw Liverpool this season without the ball. Front players always pressing, the pivot patrolling the midfield and making jumps, all while the backline is pushing higher up the pitch and backing the press. That's why we limited Leipzig to just 0.29 xG in the first half, despite having lethal forwards such as Benjamin Sesko, Loic Openda and Xavi Simons. Still, we conceded the first goal, which fortunately was offside. However, we should start to celebrate these called off goals, because the trend this season so far is that we like to score right after conceding an offside goal, right? It happened against Wolves, against Bologna, and yesterday when Openda put in a brilliant strike. Unfortunately for him though, he wasn't aware of the Reds' trend, as Darwin Núñez managed to put his foot on Salah's headed effort, giving Liverpool the lead a few minutes later. Now, the goal was after a lovely combination between all McAllister, Gakpo and Tsimikas, who provided an underlapping run before putting the cross in to find Salah. However, there was a common tactic that Slot and his men repeatedly used during that game in order to unlock the home side's block. Using different build-up shapes, the Reds tried to overload one side and pull Leipzig's block there before pulling the switch to either Gakpo or Salah in the wide areas. Let's give you an example of what happened in the second half. Here you can see McAllister pull from the number 10 or the 8 position to the wide area to create a numerical superiority alongside the touchline and invite Leipzig's players to that side. Once the ball is quickly worked between him and Tsimikas, Darwin dropped deep into midfield and played the switch to the right-hand side. The same happened on the right hand side with Dominic Szoboszlai pulling wide alongside Trent and creating the same numerical advantage to pull Leipzig's block to that area before switching play to the opposite space. Now, do you remember those 3 pictures we shared with you earlier? We said that they show one of the most important aspects of Slot's approach, and that is fluidity, guys. Those 3 pictures show 3 different build-up structures Liverpool used in the first 45 minutes alone. From the 4-2-4 to the 3-1-6 to even a 3-4-3 shape, and Kelleher stepping up between the centre-back to take part of the build-up, we honestly lost count over how many shapes the Reds have used to initiate their attacks. Now, why is this such an important aspect in Slot's style? Well, let us explain. Suppose the opposition team wants to stay narrow. That's fine because Liverpool will be able to pull the fullbacks wide, stretch the block, and use a staggered pivot to bounce passes around. But what if the opposition wants to lock one side and jump to the other? No problem too, because the Reds will be able to pull one of the pivots wide to bring more numbers and play through the press. And in the case the other team want to sit in a deep block, then the Reds will be able to overload the last line with 6 or more players. See, this fluidity in possession brings a solution to every problem the Reds might face during a match. It even gives Slot and his men the chance to avoid any tactical battles that they do not have to be involved in, as these various solutions can act as a cheat code to play around the opposition's approach. Now, the second half was not as good as the first since Liverpool players looked like they lost a bit of control over the game, as the home team managed to get more chances and even score another goal that was deemed offside. However, we want to highlight 2 key players from the second period, the first being Alexis Mac Allister. Now, we have a video coming for you arguing why Curtis Jones might need to be one of the starting in the double pivot over Maka, especially against big teams. But that doesn't mean that the Argentinian should be benched. Absolutely not. In fact, he should still start even with Jones up the pitch, but he should be the one playing as close to the opposition's box as possible. This was evident in that sequence that led to the post-hitting shot in the second half. Looking at that play, you'd see Mac Allister's creativity in the final third, ability to link up with his teammates, and of course his lethal and accurate shooting technique. That's why we believe he should always be involved in the final third, rather than in the build-up phase, with his influence higher up the pitch sometimes cannot be unmatched. The second player we should want to talk about is none other than Kelleher, who undoubtedly played a key role in helping us get the 3 points, especially in the second half, as Leipzig had more than one chance to equalise. Every time he steps on the pitch, the 25-year-old goalkeeper goes on to prove that Jurgen Klopp was 100% right about calling him the best number 2 in the world. Whether it was during the build-up, sweeping the area, launching long balls or stopping shots, Kelleher has stood out once again acting as a key player in the back, protecting the Reds' cage and even influencing the build-up phase. In summary, it was a calm performance from the Reds both with and without the ball, especially in the first half. Every single player did his job almost perfectly, earning us another crucial 3 points before the next game against Leverkusen in the same competition. Now we travel to London for a make or break game against Arsenal, and with Slot making his usual early substitutions, giving Mo Salah enough rest and other players more minutes into their legs, we should go into the next league game with a mental advantage as the Gunners suffer multiple injuries. The latest being the reported injury of Ricardo Calafiori. However, a visit to the Emirates is never easy, and to confirm ourselves as title contenders, this game will be a key feature in our season. So what did you think about our performance last night? Do you think Slot should stick with this 4-1-4-1 structure without the ball? What are your predictions for the weekend? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed today's deep dive, why not hit the like and subscribe button for more Liverpool deep dives? Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.